on behalf of the Center for Biodiversity and Conservation Studies, Osmania University, I invite and I'm thankful to Mr. Imran Siddiqui for having accepted our invitation to present today's talk. The talk is gonna be interesting talk for a couple of reasons. Imran is known for his works on tigers, and he's has his brief biodata, which would be presented by Dr. Chetan Kumar. Uh, I would just like to say that he's known for his works on tigers, and he was one of the instrumental persons for setting up of the Kabal Tiger Reserve. It was when we were actively kind of pushing about the importance of corridors in the northern Telangana region of Andhra Pradesh at that time. We were actively working in Kawal Wildlife Sanctuary and Etur Nagaram Wildlife Sanctuary, and we have seen lots of tiger movements happening there. And that's the time when all these things came in, and it resulted in declaration of the tiger reserve. Wonderful collective, efforts in which one of the important pillars happens to be the Haiti cause, and Imran is still active in those areas doing tiger research. When I approached him, he said, "Sir, should I speak about tiger or should I speak something else?" Then I said, "Speak something else. We'll, talk about tigers later, maybe during an International Tiger Day or something like that." Then he has accepted that he's going to, speak about his experience with respect to conservation issues, and he's going to, today interact with you or present his opinion about conservation matters, and why it is important that conservation needs to be done. I request Dr. Chetan to give the formal introduction to all the participants about Mr. Imran Siddiqui, and then Mr. Imran Siddiqui can start his presentation. Thank you, Imran, for joining us.
Thank you.
You want your video to be on? Yeah? Yeah, please go ahead. No issues.
So, very good morning to everyone. Today, this is the fifth session which we are going to continue, and today we have with us Mr. Imran Siddiqui. He has worked as an assistant director. He's working as an assistant director, WCS India, and the founder member of Hitikos, Hyderabad. His major responsibilities are like managing tiger conservation program in the state of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, oversee tiger and prey monitoring research work in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. He has published many papers, and he also coordinates with program planning, coordination, and management of field research and conservation terms in Andhra Pradesh. Apart from these, Imran is recognized with many awards. He has received from eminent awards from eminent environmentalists 2014, Carl Zeiss Award for Wildlife Conservation, Wildlife Service Award from Sanctuary Nature Foundation, edX 40 under 40 Ecosapiens. Apart from that, he has immense experience in the field and wildlife conservation research and advocacy. He was involved in various wildlife related conservation issues across states of Andhra Pradesh, founder member of NGO Hitikos, Hyderabad Tiger Conservation Society, has worked as a GIS project scientist with the Forest Department, AP Forest Department, was part of pressure group for stopping uranium mining in Nagarjun Sri Shalem Tiger Reserve in 2004, worked with Tele Atlas and Informap as GIS specialists in making navigational maps for UAE, Qatar, and Singapore. long-term association with landscapes of Kawal Tiger Reserve, appointed as a outside expert and expert member for the Andhra Pradesh for monitoring tiger reserves, appointed by the state government as a member of advocacy committee for Kawal Tiger Reserve, Kawal Wildlife Sanctuary, and he has been a resource person for the forest department, teaching wildlife biology and conservation courses for frontline forest staff. Uh, Worked as a consultant as a wildlife conservation trust for monitoring Khana Panch corridor, and he played an important role in getting Gudlaparmeshwaram of 1,194 square kilometers as extended core for the Nagarjuna Sagar Tiger Reserve. Worked as a consultant with Panthera for undertaking work in the tiger reserves of Andhra Pradesh. Worked as a senior research fellow for the WCS India, and has played a prominent role in convincing 200 families in Kawal Tiger Reserve and 1,000 families in NSTR for voluntary relocation, conducting exposure trips to Tadoba and Nagarhole. He has immense knowledge and has been working on the tigers as a main aspect for the past decade and even more than that. And we wish you go around with the same pace. And over to you, Imran.
Imran, you're starting.
Yeah, but I lost the connection.
Oh, you lost the connection. Okay, no
Why
issues.
does it happen? But
Yeah, as soon as you join in, you can, yeah.
I'm connecting my phone now. It says it's trying to connect.
No issues, Imran. We'll wait. No issues.
I'm so sorry for this glitch. I don't know how we were doing these presentations.
Yeah, this is all technical problems with the and new methods of.
Yeah. I just put my phone on charge. I'm connected by a phone.
Right.
Okay. So thanks all for, and I really apologize for keeping you waiting for this. And thanks all for joining in. I'm really glad that Dr. Srinivasulu sir has asked me to share my experience or my ideas about conservation. So I will not talk much about our work, but I want to just flag the issue of conservation, and I want to also try to bring this thing that why this conservation is so important. So we all talk about tigers. Everybody talk about tigers. So there is a lot of species other than tigers which are in the forest. There are millions of species. There are thousands of flora diversity in that area, which generally we don't talk, but they are all equally important. But tiger gets the attention, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's only because it is tiger and it is revered by everybody. No other species has that much following in the world as much as tiger. If you do a survey any day with kids all over the world, tiger is like a favorite for 70% of people. So it's the tigers which take the thing, but also tigers give you back. So I'll talk about that in a while. But let's start with a photo which was taken in 1969. Which this is called as Earthrise. This was taken from the moon, and this was perhaps one of the first photos taken of Earth from outside. And this is how our blue planet looked like from outside. And like our sun, our moon goes into phases, Earth also goes into phases, and it's a similar thing which you will experience from the moon. But what we thought is like, oh wow, Earth is a blue planet, a blue lamp. That's what Neil Armstrong described later on. But this is just if you put the entire history of the world in, say, 24 hours, forget about the 1, 2, 3, and 12. Just think that this is a 24 hours clock. Okay. And this shows the 4.6 billion years of time on it. So maybe at the 9th minute, there was evolution which has started. Maybe on the 10th minute, there was old rocks preserved on Earth's surface. The first bacteria came on the 17th minute. So and so and so on. First bird, first mammal at 57th minute. And the man came in the just last 1 second. And we have put the Earth under our, sorry for the spelling, epoch, E-P-O-C-H, but we have completely trampled the Earth, coming in the last second. Because in front of 4.6 billion, our history is only, the modern man is only 10,000 years. Or if you say Homo sapiens, which are cave dwelling, it goes not more than 35,000 years. It is just that. It's just a blip. It's like just 1 second of your entire day. That is what man has come in, and he has completely ruined the world. And there were things like being spoken after this coronavirus was first detected and this lockdown started, that, oh, the man is the virus on the earth. Many eminent people have said that, oh, now coronavirus is the vaccine for the earth. So they said, oh, see, there were photos being circulated saying that wildlife is taking back within few weeks. Oh, wildlife was taking Venice, the waterways in the Venice where swans are roaming, and then they showed the Paris photos. Our own Hyderabad had leopards roaming on the streets, and they were like photos of langurs or whatnot. I mean, everybody was busy sharing those. But do you think what we have done in this after our industrial era, by 50s, the time when we actually went and took this photo, that is perhaps the acceleration of the Anthropocene epoch, which is like huge burst. We got control in this 50s and 60s. We got control over the disease, actually keeping us in control. We got hold of antibiotics, which are actually stopping all the disease infections, and then we got rid of many diseases, or we could manage malaria now, and that's how we started populating this planet. And we are going on and on and on, and everybody talks about consumption, everybody talks about growth, and this is what is. I mean, we are in Hyderabad, we know, most of us are from Hyderabad, or we know Hyderabad, how now luckily the traffic is not that bad, but this is how we are living in, and making a lot of pollution and things. And this is what we are aspiring for. India Aspires, that's a book by Nitin Gadkari, which talks about how India should become glittery and glowy, and like we are not yet Shanghai, we are not yet Dubai, so we have to be there. So this is the aspirations which we have, and anything less than 9% of growth is shown as a failure of the government. That's where, and throughout the planet, we have around taken 96% of biomass through us and livestock. It's only that 4% which is wildlife. So wildlife is just whatever you see in this world, it's only like 4% of biomass. Same thing we are doing with birds. I mean, wildlife altogether is 4%, but birds altogether 70% through our poultry. So we want to go to 5 trillion economy. We are already at 3.2 trillion, and we are heading towards 5 trillion in very few years. We are going to hit there. But who runs this world? There's no government for the world. Is there any government? There are like loose associations like United Nations, or like we call some confederations or something, but there's no government for the world. But across borders, across countries, there are some things which actually run the world, which are these species, which are like bees, which are doing a silent service to the entire planet, which we don't even realize what they are doing. And these bees, they are like a million other insects which are doing this service to the mankind. How? We need this because 90% of all the pollination is done for our crops by insects. It's only 8% which is done by wind, 1% by invertebrates, and 1% by self or through some random events. So it's like 90% of pollination for every bite. Now you may say that, oh, no, rice doesn't need this pollination and we eat rice, but for every fruit you are eating, you need a bee. So rightly said by E.O. Wilson, humans would survive only for a few months without insects, only on the storage we had. But it's also true that insects may not all of a sudden go extinct, and insects may show more resilience than human beings, and it will be we who will go extinct. So this is an example of the leftmost is the strawberry, which is pollinated by natural insects. The rightmost is what is pollinated by wind, and the centermost is what is self-pollinated. You may still get fruits, but it may not be good enough. So all the food, all the fruits, all the vegetables you are getting because of those insects, and 50% of this pollination is by bees, and in India you can say a lot of by honeybees. So different insects have evolved. They have like taken millions of years to form these structures, and they have co-evolved, not just evolved. This flower has evolved to get pollinated by this butterfly, and this bumblebee is evolved to pollinate this kind of flowers. Honeybee may not be able to do this. Fly cannot pollinate what bee can pollinate. Maybe there will be some overlap, but they have special niches. So if this one species of the bee goes, we don't know how many specialist plants are there which are dependent on that bee, because they have co-evolved. They have taken millions of years of adjustments and mutations and survival tactics to find a way. There are around 700 species of bees. Only 5 are used for honey in India, but there are 700 species which are like magnificently spread all across India. And because we are at the tropical climate, we are not seeing the decline which you are seeing in the northern hemisphere, where they are just being hammered. In Germany, they say that around 80-90% of insects have gone, disappeared. In America, there's no honeybee, but they have introduced honeybee in America, so that they can do the pollination, and it's become a big business where people come in trucks and leave the pollinators and go, and then there are complaints on stealing of the queens and then taking in their farms, and this kind of activities are happening all the world. So, this is from Geographic. Every buzzing, crawling, and hovering insect is a cog in ecological machine. It's like if this world is working, this is working by this beautiful animals which are like doing some services. We have conquered all the world. We have taken all the big land masses, and we have settled everywhere. But we won't be able to sustain more. This is in China. They are doing pollination with a brush. And what you don't know is like this has started in Himachal Pradesh also. There is no bees. Natural bees are going down. So the pollination of apples is getting difficult. So they are doing it using people. And there's so much capital to be put for doing this. And this is never going to be a sustainable thing. So in Australia, they introduced cattle. Australia doesn't have a big history. Very recently, say 200 years ago, they introduced cattle. But because the Australian continent is so away from the entire this whole radiations and evolutions which are happening in Africa and Asia, Australia was cut off. So at least Americas were kind of connected through Greenland, and Africa was having some connection to Madagascar, to India and everything. But we don't have any connection to Australia and New Zealand. That's why the animals there are unique. You have kangaroos, you have koalas, you have very unique animals which are flightless birds because there are no predators there. when we introduced cattle there, it was for our own good. And when cattle started defecating, they call it cattle pads. They do it 20 times a day. Australia landmass was completely getting eroded. There was no animal to, or there was no insect to clean up the systems. And they had to go to entomologists and ask for help. And they got the dung beetle there. You know what? Around 33, 35 species of dung beetles were introduced in Africa. There was a list made, and there was the best labs involved, and they went and they did it in clusters. Without that, they wouldn't have cleaned this system. Now there is a pocket guide for dung beetles in Australia. There are around 25 or 26 which have survived, which are still surviving. And in 1975, when this paper was published, it was like, yeah, they're introducing dung beetle. We don't know what it will do to ecosystems. But do we have a choice? Because you can't have a continent like Australia without cattle. Singapore, yeah, there's no cattle in Singapore. Everything, arbiters, all the meat comes from Malaysia. But can you do it for Australia kind of continent? So we are lucky to have this dung beetles. We are lucky to have this tremendous biodiversity around us. And also insects help fishes, you know. You see the percentage of diet which fishes need when they are small, especially. When they grow up, it may go down a bit, but for some species it may come up a bit. So you won't have fish in the water if there are no larvae in the water. So insects are so important. All these dragonflies and all these mosquitoes, which we think is waste in waste evolution. No, they're also important. It's not just pollination. But these insects also take in carbon dioxide, take in oxygen, give carbon dioxide. You need to have some control. Otherwise, you saw that locust swarm, which was about to come. It had come till Rajasthan. It had come till Delhi. We saw these horrifying images in India during the lockdown period. You know how they controlled the locust swarm in Mauritius? Mauritius economy was down 80% due to this locust attacking from Africa or Arabian Peninsula. So they introduced Indian myna. And we have these birds for free. We have them in our systems. And it's so great that India still have these functional ecosystems. We don't have to bring all these things and put in here. And when the insects are pollinating, they give fruits. In the lean periods, the entire herbivore systems, the herbivore populations depend heavily on the fruiting trees. And these fruits, this is just before the monsoon. So the fruits come, the trees fruit in summer. That is the leanest period. That's where you talk about associations of cheetal and langur. But actually, this is associations of cheetal, langur, and that insects which are actually cleaning up the floor, forest floor, the decomposers. Dung beetle will take the dung, it will eat, again it will shit, then there will be another one which is eating it. Then in the third round, it will be then, it will decompose, it gets decomposed by fungi or small bacteria which makes the minerals, which put back all the minerals in the soil. So, you know, this is not some thing happening unconnected. These are all systems which are like hugely connected. And on those herbivores depends the magnificent cat, the tiger. Now people, it's getting out of fashion. People say, oh, tiger, you study tiger. I don't like people who study tiger. We want some small, beautiful animals. It's like completely out of fashion now, as if we have known everything about tigers. It's not true. There's like hardly any studies which are done on tigers compared to other countries which are doing other things. And this, all systems live or exist due to the intact ecosystems. And India luckily has got legislations to protect some forest lands and the natural habitats, not just forest lands, also maybe fallow grasslands and coasts. So, and protected areas. This have kept this diversity life alive. Without this, we may not have anything left. Now they're talking about urban ecology and all that, but it hardly matters for the entire systems to work. And you know what? We have tremendous diversity of life which is supporting India. It's not happening on its own. These are these animals which are like we have small land mass, 2% of the world, but we have around 13% of birds, 7% of mammals, 24% of carnivores. Huge variety of diversity of life. And around 1,300 species of birds, which are actually doing so much for us to survive. And around 280 species of snakes. So everything is important. Other day, Avinash was talking about snakes. Wow, beautiful. And we have so much in our own surrounding in Telangana. And we have the greatest diversity of cats in the world. From the smallest cat in the world, the rusty spotted cat, to the largest cat in the world, we have the tiger. And we have this culture of revering this nature. We have this culture of loving this nature. That's how this has survived till now. We still have in our, you just go 10 kilometers in Hyderabad and you'll definitely pick up a temple or dargah or something where tiger is drawn. So still we have that connections. So we need to just keep them back. How things have changed for tiger. That's when our economic growth started. That's when the forest got depopulated. This was in British era when British actually smuggled all the forests from India to the Queen. That's when the forests get depopulated. This is a beautiful drawing of 1950s when, 1900s when tigers started actually creating problems for people. Now, yeah, we have tigers, but other than Farida was telling, it's right. Tiger numbers are increasing, yes, but they are increasing only in small populations. The overall occupancy of tiger is decreasing year on year. So if you say in 2004 to 8 to now to 10, 20, every year the tiger occupancy is decreasing, and the health of habitat is also going down. We are providing artificially water. We are providing artificially prey base to tigers, and that's how some parks are really doing well. A lot of protection is being given, but there's hardly anything in the parks. So do we want tigers as this? This was photo taken in Dubai. In USA, they say there are 10,000 tigers. It's not about the number of tigers. This tiger may not be doing any ecological function, but this tiger is actually controlling. It's on the top of the food pyramid, and it's controlling the entire forest. So we have lost 93% of original habitats of tiger. And we have lost around 97% of tigers. They are living in small isolated patches, of which these areas are completely, the large chunks of India are completely depopulated of tigers. It's only in Western Ghats and some of central India, this side, some of central India and Terai, and a little bit of Kaziranga. And now it's coming to Telangana, and yeah, Andhra. NSTR is doing quite well. So they are in small such patches, very fragmented. So to just give you an idea about tigers, they have a rapid breeding mechanisms where they can really multiply quite fast, and they need, only thing they need is food. What they need is like around 500 prey animals. For the getting crop of 500, you need at least 50. It needs at least 50 crop of animals. For getting that 50, you need approximately 500 animals. So for every 500 deer in the forest, you will have one tiger. Now, there may be solutions like, oh, replace deer by cattle, or replace, let's breed deer and dump in. That's not the way. Whole system should be protected. If deer population is going wrong, there are some reasons for it going wrong. You can't artificially inject something and keep the ecosystems alive. Actually, you will be doing more harm. If the ecosystem is not accepting more than, say, 200 deers, you cannot artificially make it 500 deers. Go to Chilkur. Chilkur has hardly any blade of grass left, and they start eating the barks of the trees when the population explodes. So you need to have that control, and natural upgradation of numbers of deer and number of tigers should all come from that. The tigers live, the territories are defined on number of deers they have, and We don't even know what territories of deers are defined by. Yeah, their food, but how many birds they need for getting that food, or how many insects you need for getting that fruits which they need. So if you do the assessment, because tiger lives in a large areas, because its forest is, I mean, one tiger, the reason for showing this is like one tiger may need more than 20 square kilometers at least to about 500 square kilometers in low population and low prey base areas. So you have that big variation, but the 20 square kilometers will have so many thousands of um, other species which will survive. That's how the tiger reserves have been so big success for India, because you have 52 tiger reserves, but actually you are protecting bisons, you are protecting buffalo, sorry, not bison, Indian gaur, you are protecting the buffalo, you are protecting rhinos, you are protecting millions of other species which we don't even have documented. Elephants are getting major benefit because of tiger reserves. So if you do the calculations, which was done in 2015 by Indian Institute of Forest Management along with NTCA, they have come and told us that each tiger reserve is contributing immensely towards our well-being. So only 6 they assessed, and they said around 8,000 crore is what they are giving as flow benefits, like every year we get. How do we get that? It's like the things they have measured is what fishes come up in the forest and breed and go back to the big rivers where they're caught again. So what is the number of fishes which is getting benefited? What is the amount of water purification these parks are doing? So what is the value of timber or recreation which is coming from these areas? Doing this for 10 tiger reserves, they have found, because Nagarjuna Sagar is huge, they have found that 76.70 crore is the tangible benefits which you can measure, which are like direct benefits from tiger reserves. And the intangible benefits like the water or like which you can't measure is like 66,254 crores per year for only Nagarjuna Sagar System Tiger Reserve. I'm not even doing accumulation for all. So for every rupee spent for tiger conservation, it gives you back around 7,500 rupees for Nagarjuna Sagar System Tiger Reserve, only because it's huge. So which investment gives you? Okay, go for Milghat, which is giving only 347 rupees per every rupee spent. But which investment gives you? Which is this multiplier which gives you 347 rupees? Imagine how much we should be investing more in this. In this tiger reserves also live people who are desperately poor, who need basic amenities. They lack those amenities. They don't have roads. They don't have access to schools. They don't have. This is a rudimentary school. I mean, this building is about to fall. This is what students get, and this is a part-time teacher. So these are things which are leading to migration of tribals. There are so many people coming to big cities and working in cities. They live in a very in the forest when they are actually living in their own systems. They were like not even extracting anything, but now because of the economic growth, there is like a lot of demand for land, and they are clearing the land, and they are putting agriculture areas in throughout the forest. And we are also participating in this, putting dams for our waters. We are putting roads inside the forest, and this is Srisalam Dam, which is right bang in the middle of the forest. And because we are living, not leaving anything for wildlife inside, and we are encroaching on all the areas, and wildlife also have learned to live with humans and come close to us, and we end up in sometimes in conflict, wherein they come and kill our cattle, or they'll come and eat our crops, and ultimately who suffers? The wildlife. This leopard was electrocuted in Kawal in 2008 or 2009. Why? I mean, how did this happen? Because some farmers put a live electric wire, and we have seen tigers also dying like that. Wild pigs or something are not even recorded. we have seen how vultures have declined. And vultures are so important for ecosystems. I don't want to waste more time on talking about the importance because I don't have words nor I can do justice for that. But their decline can cause a major damage for our systems. And from 97 to 99% of vultures have gone. And we are planning ecotourisms, which are like uh, we are trying to make money from the small patches which are left without even thinking about what it is doing. Or we are trying to make the world's largest. I mean, we want to make this solar energy, or like all the renewable energies are like comes with a halo around their head, thinking that, oh, this is the best way of life and all that. So, but the companies don't promote this solar farms on our rooftops. They don't give us any much benefits for putting this on our rooftop. It still costs you around 2-3 lakhs to make your house solar dependent. But these are the grassland. This was in Rolapadu. This is just besides the vulture, the Great Indian Bustard habitat, and this was all taken by. Well, yeah, it's private land. You can't do much, but bustards live in private lands. So they have come and made in India's largest solar farm and world's largest solar farm, and the Greenco company, they making energy from that. And Bustard is at brink. Hardly anything left in wild. The whole grassland ecosystems are at brink because grasslands are not even classified as forest. What do we do now? Yeah, these are all things. I don't want to depress and say that, oh, this end of world and this is last days, Kalyug. No. I mean, if I also don't believe that we are the virus for the world. Yeah, we have done a lot of damage, but if anybody can undo the damage, it is us. It's like extreme environmentalist thing that, oh, people dying is good because population is going down. No, it's not good. We are going to come back and hit it hard. If economy is going down, we are going to come back and take away more forest and destruct more and try to cope up that economy which was going down. Oh, automobiles are going down. That's good for environment. The world, skies are clean. Oh, these are clean for just now, but we are going to come back. So what we do, I'll tell you, we regularly monitor tigers and prey in tiger reserves of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. We do wildlife surveys. We work with forest departments and try to help them. We capture wildlife, on cameras. And we do studies on mark recapture. We don't talk much about that because we want to keep it low profile. And we count prey. We have started counting prey in Nagarjuna Sagar System Tiger Reserve. It took 2 years for us to just mark the transacts for counting the prey. 2 years of strenuous exercise, and then again we have to go and remark them for this year. So for the first time we assess the prey. We go, 2 people go on those transacts and walk on those transacts and assess the prey population. We try to patrol the fringes of the forest outside and try to remove all the threats around the forest, which are maybe killing wildlife. We work on policy. We help the local communities get benefits from the tribal welfare schemes or anything. We help in capacity building of staff. That is one important thing we do, and we engage with communities. We have now working groups in many villages where we are actually forming the policy of the village, what sarpanch should do, what the panchayat should do. Why should they not protect the neighboring areas? Why should other people come and graze in their lands? So we kind of do that. We join monitor with them. We involve them in conservation things. We help in law enforcement. We catch huntings which are happening around the areas, and we report it to forest department. We help forest department in filing the cases. We help them in training things, and also we do a little bit of outreach. Probably we should do more of this. So we support the local voices. We bring them out. We make them ask for their things and help them to get things like relocation of village. We convince these are people asking for relocation of their village. see, in other states, it's so difficult to get this across. And they're always like, oh, forest department want to evict the tribals. But here, we have convinced them to an extent that they ask for that. They are raising slogans that please relocate us. So we are working on that. We create political will. We go to the politicians and tell them, yeah, this is happening and we should help you. Or you should help us, and you should get things right. We work with local leaderships. We convince them to do not take decisions which are negative towards things. So you can be part of our team, and you can also be helping in this. And there is no one thing that I can tell you do. So everybody knows what good they can do, in the sense like, you know what is your strengths. So you should come up with your ideas about conservation and contribute. Somebody is good at, like Dr. Srinivaslu is good at research. Somebody is good at doing education programs. Somebody may be good at social media. So there are many ways, many ways, and everybody can contribute. And because in India we have so little of conservation happening, there's so many opportunities for us to go out and do. So I request all and tell you all that you become part of these conservation battles. So thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I'm open to take questions if you have any.
Yeah, I'll thank you very much, Imran, for a wonderful kind of, holistic way of understanding what exactly needs to be done, not only for conserving tigers, but also for conserving many things all around us. Before anybody asks a question, I have a question from Asif, and he was asking, it's in the chat box. He says, please enlighten what needs to be done exactly to protect, say, 10,000 deer that eventually support 20 tigers within a park, or maybe in a protected ecosystem.
Well, see, the parks are basically managed by forest department, and forest department has staff, and they have all the strength to do this. But now, for example, what you can contribute is like building the positive thing for doing this. One is like some parks maybe not as good managed as tiger reserves, so you can maybe go and help management there, in the sense like help train people to first enjoy nature and like love nature and then protect it. But it's not a straightforward thing. You can't just go out and do that. But actually you can, for example, now there are problems of the funding for the protection watchers for forest department. So maybe you can just write a letter to Prakash Jodekar or anybody and say that, oh, please give, there is a fund called CAMPA, Compulsory Afforestation Fund, which was actually giving money for all protection staff. Now that money is, they have told that you cannot give salaries. So if that cannot give salaries, states are not giving budgets. So you can't sustain that. So I think that is one good start to make. You write letters and put pressure on governments. Now we have seen a very good campaign during the lockdown about EIA draft rules, where 14 lakh applications have gone. Nobody ever imagined that India will really rise like that. So I think these are things, but yeah, this is what as we can do. But ideally what should be done is putting more anti-poaching camps, protecting the edges of the forest, and seeing if somebody is willing to relocate, helping them relocate out, and having a proper patrolling plan. For that you need some money, some willingness, some support, which I think we can actually inspire.
Yeah, thank you, Imran. I just wanted to kind of, add up that there are two ways of looking at this particular problem. One is what I as an individual can do, or what we as public can do. And second is what the government needs to do, or how we have to, convince the government to do certain things that are needed by the government to do. So these are two different things that we have to keep in mind when we are talking about conservation and all. Uh, and Many a times we have seen that people who really kind of get into local grassroots level of work, they are able to bring in a change, and that kind of change, attitudinal change, behavioral change, psychological change that we are talking about, that we are seeing all around us, uh, goes a long way in creating the much needed support for ecosystem from human beings. It's very kind of sometimes I think that it is ludicrous to say that the ecosystem needs human support. uh, it should be otherwise. We need the ecosystem support to survive, but unfortunately we have come to that situation wherein uh, we are the real culprits, and we are creating so much of damage to ecosystem, and now it is really our effort that we need to put in to see that ecosystems are not damaged at the level or at the rate at which they are being damaged. So individually, all of us, as Imran was mentioning, that we can get involved, we can create the awareness. Awareness needs to be created at the grassroots level. We also belong to organization, an NGO that does lots of conservation awareness programs and conservation education activities and all those things. And with the protected area, networks being established and all those things, the grassroots level awareness creation becomes very, very important, and that would go long way. And for that, lots of people, lots of educated people, lots of people who empathize with nature, who love nature, who really understand nature are needed. And that's where each one of us can put our what you say, minimal contribution to create that kind of awareness and go forward. I see that there are a couple of more questions that have been coming in, and I'll just, on behalf of my participants, I'll just ask the question. uh, Harika is asking, can you please explain why does a tiger become man eater? That's a wonderful question.
Yeah, Jim Corbett has said, because he has dealt with man-eaters more than anyone, he has said that 95% of tigers become man-eaters when they're actually injured or they're old. And the rest of the 5% actually have learned culturally from the other, because it has seen its mother doing it, it has been doing. So, yeah, female tigress may attack a person when it is close to cubs, but it's not man-eating. It may actually, it's such a powerful machine. It's like such a kind of ninja which just touches you and you're gone. So it's like built for kill, and it's the entire evolution is 4.5 billion years of evolutions make. Actually, it took that many years to make that tiger. So it is very efficient in killing. So it can kill potentially, but you maybe some of these interactions you can't stop. You have no idea how to stop it, because this happened like an accident on the road, like it just happens. But the man-eating, which are habitually happening, is mainly because they come in contact with humans and they lose fear of humans, or they are injured, or they're old. So one of the reasons I think you see a lot of man-eating area conflicts happening near the tiger reserves is mainly because the animals have lost fear of people, and when they lose the canines or they have some problems hunting the natural prey, they go, they are checked out from the protected areas, and they go to the nearby areas and they hunt. They can come in contact with humans, and once they start killing, yeah, it's such an easy thing to kill because we have no defense.
Yeah. Yeah. I also feel that the that 5% of cultural kind of learning becomes problematic. Uh, so the animals that learn from looking at their others doing it, they become the problematic species, the problematic individuals. In fact, in such scenarios. Harika and others who are interested, you can read Jim Corbett's wonderful books. He has written about man eaters, not only tigers but also leopards. And also there is another wonderful what you say, sportsman from southern India, English sportsman from southern India, based at Bangalore, Keith Anderson. You can also read his books about tigers, wonderful tales that will be sometimes spine chilling, as well as you would be learning about a lot of tiger behavior in the jungles. Okay, we have another question from Mr. Tiger Amarnath. Amarnath takes the name of the tiger in his. Yeah, he says, great presentation. Learned a lot about some important facts and information. I would like to know what are the major threats to the fauna and the flora which human is creating, and how a normal person can contribute to protect them as a basic thing.
Dr. Srinivasu, I think we need another two
Yeah,
sessions
I
for
know,
answering
I
this.
know. Yeah, I just want to
So,
say that, Amarnath, you just have to be, responsible enough. If you know certain things, create awareness, stop people damaging nature or, destroying nature. That is how we can begin with. And I know it is a very, very small step, but it will go a long way in, mitigating and reducing the damage that we are doing as human beings collectively. Tariq
so,
Ahmed, yeah, you have
just
something.
to add to that,
Yeah,
sir,
yeah.
actually, the whole problem is not with now flora and fauna, like anything special you want to do, but actually in your daily routine, if you can reduce your footprint by using less and um, like it can start well early morning, instead of wasting 2 buckets of water or taking a big shower. If you can take a small thing, I mean, by conserving the water you have, by not wasting the food, or like not uh, using bicycle if you can, or like not using public transport if you can. I mean, there are so many things actually. If you think every action you do, there is an opportunity for you to think about nature, and because you can actually take so many steps. I mean, there's no end to it. Thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Tariq Ahmed is asking, I just wanted to know that I have seen in Gir Wildlife Sanctuary, the trackers from the forest department will literally force lion to confront people, so that people who visit and move around in safari will see the lions, I believe. How far is it correct for the monetary benefits in the name of ecotourism? Uh,
There there is no ecotourism in that, and I think it's wrongly marketed as ecotourism, because ecotourism principle has three tangible things in that, which is, one of them is the animals' welfare, second is the education, and third is the local people's welfare. So all the three things should happen. But there is no ecotourism in that. Neither animal is benefiting, nor the local person is benefiting. Yeah, some photo you may be getting about thing, but there is no increase in your knowledge about that animal if you see that animal in that sense. So I think it's a wastage of resources, and I think we should not visit such places, because this is not ecotourism. You should learn something from ecotourism from your perspective, and also you should be careful that what you're spending there. See, for Corbett, for example, outside Corbett, there are so many reserves. I mean, so many resorts which are actually blocking the corridor of tiger to move out from Corbett to other terra areas. So like that, I mean, you should think whether actually this is good. I don't like this is tiger tourism or lion tourism, which is a horrible way of minting money. This is my personal opinion about
Yeah,
it.
and also personally, I also feel that because of this digital era of having digital cameras and having lots of what you say extra salary that I can spend off, I am purchasing lots of good telephoto lenses and all those things. We are becoming more and more nuisance in the forest areas just to kind of compete with each other to show that I have got a good tiger or a lion photograph than my colleague has or my friend has got. So this competition kind of thing is also kind of affecting, and in a way encouraging the local forest department people by luring them and giving them some kind of monetary benefits. They are resorting to these kind of things. Earlier it wasn't the case. Earlier, when we had the films to be shot and we had to carry just 5 canisters of 36 short rolls, we used to be very very careful while taking photographs. These days it is not the case. You just take two or three SD cards and you are taking photographs as if you are shooting bullets from AK-47 rifle. So so that's unfortunate thing. That's the reason why many a times I haven't visited any of these protected areas where we have ecotourism. In the name of ecotourism, lots of bad things are happening. Okay, Ramakrishna is asking same like some tiger reserve. I'm sorry about that. Some tiger reserve, like Kanha Tiger Reserve, are becoming tourism centers and causing the wild tigers to become like captured ones or captive ones. Will this have impact on wild tiger lifestyle? Please comment. Before Imran starts commenting, Imran, I just want you to keep also the fact in view while you are commenting about this thing about TATR, that is Tadoba Andari Tiger Reserve also, as well as the corridor that we have with the, and then talk about these things. What is exactly happening?
Well, Dr. Umapati from and Dr. Anuradha Reddy from Lacones have done an excellent study where they pick up the scats and they check in this tourism zones, outside zones, and you get hormones of stress, which can be monitored from scats. So they have checked that and they have come out with a beautiful paper saying that there is huge amount of stress on animals due to this tourism activities. So definitely these tourism activities are not helping tigers, but there are people who say, oh, because of the tourism, tigers are being protected. But I don't think so. It's always like it's man first, hen or the egg story. I think first tigers come. When tigers are seen in Tipeshwar or Tadoba, then tourism resorts come there. It's not never other way around. Tourism cannot bring tigers. So I think this is a very bad way of tourism. I'm glad that Ajay Dubai, one person from Jabalpur, went to Supreme Court and got restrictions on the tourism for 6-8 months. It was stopped completely. And then Supreme Court put restrictions that you can't use more than 20% of areas for tourism. Having said that, I think it's very important to open up these areas for people who want to do research like Dr. Srinivas Lu, or people who want to go and appreciate nature. I mean, where will they go and learn? I say that zoos are bad because they are keeping captives, or if I say that should not go in gypsies and pollute the things. So I think you should open up these areas, open up tracks, and conduct more research. And I think the future should be like, there should be more of research-based tourism, like Dr. Srinivas learning a lab in Tadoba, and then people are going there and actually doing their service. Like everybody asks, what can I do? What can I do? Yeah, you can spend a week with Dr. Srinivas in Tadoba, and he'll go and pick up scats, or like he will go and count the bats in that area. So I think record bats or whatever. I mean, this kind of things should be the tourism thing in future, I think. Because we don't have this large Yellowstones where like you can go and keep some areas for camping and like some areas for drinking and some areas for tourism. I think we have very small pockets of parks.
Yeah, I echo what Imran has said, and what we need to understand when we are talking about all these things. I just wanted to bring in what he mentioned about Dr. Umapati and his colleagues having done. The cortisol levels in the tigers in areas where the ecotourism is high, were found to be very high compared to the Siberian tiger population. They have compared it with the Siberian tiger populations, where in the range, the ecotourism is not there. Even the human impact or human disturbance is also very, very less. It's less to next to negligible kind of, human pressure on tiger habitats there, and they found out there was a very, very statistically significant difference in the cortisol level. Cortisol is a hormone that is the indicative of the stress levels in animals. I happened to read the paper as well as interact with Umapati, and I listened to his presentation. So that's the reason why I'm speaking about it. So it's a good study that shows that how ecotourism or human presence itself creates unnatural stress on animals, as well as unnatural behaviors that you might have not seen. Such kind of behaviors also being manifested among large cats. Very recently, you might have also seen on WhatsApp, and there was a viral video coming from central India. I think it was from Maharashtra, Tadoba area, wherein a tiger was next in the grassland in the agriculture field, and some 3 or 4 farmers were working, and the tiger pounced and then jumped inside and went away. They naturally do not attack human beings, but under stress, anybody will, anybody will attack anybody. So that you have to keep in mind. Okay, I have uh, yeah, Asif Siddiqui is just asking, food patrol or anti-poaching and anti-poaching. Please share your thought on scope of these two efforts in AP and Telangana. Where are we and what we have to still achieve?
Well, I think AP and Telangana still has a great potential, I should say, because our prey base is not anywhere compared to Bandipur or Mudumalai or even Melghat for that matter. I mean, you can compare the hilly regions with Melghat and other regions with dry Tadoba or something. So I think there is a lot of scope, and these populations will increase only by reducing the threats and that to the herbivores as well as to the tigers. And this threat removal is best possible by food patrols and having intelligence network for doing anti-poaching, which I think there is a lot of scope which Andhra and Telangana should pick up. And Andhra is doing quite good with support of Chenchus. But as I said, their funding also is getting affected. But Andhra is somehow managing. But I think we need really to step up more of these efforts, and the area operated by one camp should be much smaller than it is now. So I think there is a lot of scope. There's a lot of investments to be done in that, I think, if we really want to bring back the systems to what we have read in books, like what Salim Ali has written, or what somebody else who has revisited his areas have written.
Yep. In fact, when you are talking about Dr. Salim Ali's writings, in fact, in Mananur and Farabad Plateau, Amrabad Plateau, Dr. Salim Ali has mentioned that, in 1930s, a wonderful, wonderful prey base as well as wonderful large cat base. He also mentioned about sighting of melanistic panther too in his writings from Farabad region. That was the condition, but I was just wondering if have we learned anything from what we have done in NSTR? The Nagarjun Sagar Srisalam Tiger Reserve takes the earlier with Amrabad Tiger Reserve in United Andhra Pradesh, when we have seen the being the largest tiger reserve in India. But again, when we were thinking about the expanse and all those things, from management point of view, we had lots of problems. Imran knows, and many of my colleagues who are, young colleagues who are with us today, they are also aware of the fact that, what kind of management problems we had in Nagarjun Sagar Srisalam Tiger Reserve. But after the bifurcation, once again, when we are talking about Kawal Tiger Reserve or Amrabad Tiger Reserve, again, these things, we are not kind of, we are recreating the problem once again. I may stand corrected, but I feel that, when we are talking about Kawal Tiger Reserve, with the Kawal Tiger Reserve and buffer regions and all such kind of things being under the control of many different DFOs, again, there would be some problems with respect to, management and all such kind of things. We need to start thinking about creating smaller units of management that are cohesive with each other, that are coordinating with each other, so that the prey base as well as tiger and large carnivores survive in our forest. So one of the important things, one of the important challenges that Telangana has with respect to large, especially if not large carnivores, especially with tigers, is as Imran was mentioning, the what you say, uh, depleted prey base. Let me put it that way: depleted natural prey base. So our only in certain pockets we see that there is a respectful prey base in those areas, and in those areas for some other reasons the tigers are not there. Whereas in areas where the tigers are roaming and the tigers are known, there we have the population of our prey base, which is very, very less. For example, when we have done the work on tiger diet in NSTR long back, we found that how in these dry deciduous NSTR forest areas, especially in the adjoining of Gundla Brahmeshwaram and southern Nagarjuna Sagar Sri Salam Tiger Reserve, we saw that how tigers were feeding on cattle and boar, wild pig, then their diet being comprised of natural prey base that they should be feeding on. So such kind of things needs to be taken into consideration when we talk about tiger distribution within any given area. And Telangana needs to kind of manage, people responsible for managing the protected areas in Telangana have larger responsibility to bring in lots of what you say scientific understanding and approach towards managing the protected areas in Telangana. I don't say that when I'm saying this, I am not saying that they are not doing it. I'm just adding that we need to bring in more of scientific understanding in managing our protected areas. Yes, Imran, I have a question which is from Avinash. Avinash is asking, could you please help us understand the importance of corridor continuity with respect to tiger movement scenario in Telangana or Andhra Pradesh?
Wow. So, Dr. Srivastava, this should be the last question because I have to go for another one.
Yeah, no issues. This is the last question. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Avinash, for asking question. I had the slides, but I didn't show because it was a little out of context. But corridors are so important for especially Kawal because the entire future of Kawal depends on the connectivity to Maharashtra. Now you are seeing some rise in Telangana, this Maharashtra's tiger coming in, adjoining Adilabad and Kagasnagar areas, but only one or two are able to make it to Kawal. But every year there are around 6-8 tigers coming from Maharashtra to Telangana. So I think there is a lot of scope, and I don't know what many people know about this. But, one is spray in Kawal, and you see Kawal is not it was earlier. Thanks to forest department and yeah, we laid the foundation, and forest department is doing better than what was earlier. But there's a lot of and they are monitoring tigers in corridors. In fact, there was a photo showing you with tigers and they are behind some corridor. So this corridor, I will in this corridor only must seen last July. This corridor and there's a lot of politics. Now this LRS is happening wherein they make all this registration of the area also will be with so the encroachment. Some areas are safe because others will not. That is being over. A lot of pressure. These are still these are on the banks of Bada and rivers. So it's very good because you have all these values in.
Yeah, I think that Imran's there's some kind of internet problem, and we are getting poor audio.
I'm back, sir. In NTR, luckily, when last government was there, just before Telangana's formation, we could for getting Gundabad tiger reserve now. India has really good continuity for the 40 kilometers blocks of forest. We are active on strategies to see more tigers. There are 6 tigers in those corridors now, and they are moving. Just have Tirupati after some 20 years. So, I'm a bit scared, but 10 years in Tirupati forest, but still we were not able with tigers actually colonize that area last year when there is a lot of scope in that. Actually, Papikonda doesn't have a source tiger population any, but I think Papikonda, Tungaram, and this entire landscape can be a really good large landscape.
Thank you, Imran.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think Avinash, if you have on in my center, I wasn't able to listen because of the some audio problem. I hope that the others were able to listen to what Imran has responded for the last question. If you still have any doubts, you can write to Imran. Imran has already shared his email ID. Or else you can get in touch with us. We'll connect you with Imran to get the clarification directly, or you can ask us to. We can be able to clarify your doubts. So we'll end the session here, and I would like Dr. Harpreet to propose the vote of thanks to Mr. Imran Siddiqui for his wonderful presentation. And before I hand it over to Dr. Harpreet, I would like to inform all my participants that I have an important announcement to make. Yeah, if Dr. Imran, after vote of thanks, please do not disconnect yourself. Please be online. So I have an announcement to make for tomorrow and later programs. Thank you, Imran, once again for having accepted our invitation to be with us during this occasion. Harpreet, please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Imran, I thank you very much for today's talk. It was indeed a very insightful interaction that we had. I myself had a few questions to ask, but I can, we can interact later soon in the future. I thank you on the behalf of Center for Biodiversity and Conservation Studies. It was great listening to you, and hopefully hopefully people have tried to know what it needs, what it takes to be responsible for conservation of the for every creature, in fact, right from bees to tigers. Thank you very much, Imran, once again. We'll close the session, and we'll meet you tomorrow. Thank you so much, Imran.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Imran. Okay, for the other participants, I just wanted to share with you that for tomorrow's, talk, the resource person, Ms. Subhadra Devi, has informed us that she has an important meeting in the afternoon, so she has requested us to schedule it maybe in the forenoon. So we thought of doing that because I also have an important meeting scheduled afternoon. So I hope that you would not be having any problems if at all we begin tomorrow's last lecture session scheduled at 11:30 11:30, and it would be between 11:30 to maybe by 1 o'clock it would be over before lunchtime. So that is what I wanted to share with you. And also, we, as I have mentioned, that you had been requesting the presentations and all those things. We had been recording these meetings, these lectures, and these lectures have been made available as YouTube on YouTube as YouTube videos. You can download, or you can see these videos online. They would be kept in digital form in our YouTube channel of CBCS. You can just visit the channel and you can see the videos whenever you like to see. So the video link has been shared with you. So I think that so far whatever lectures have happened in these past 4 days, it is there, and we would be processing today's lecture also, and soon all the 6 lectures would be available for you to view. Besides this, as I have told you, we would be also having some kind of webinars, some talks, and we would be also kind of having lecture series in future too. As I was being told and requested by participants from Rajasthan and Gujarat, they wanted to have some lecture series on wildlife forensics, and some of my students were also wanting to know about what we are doing on bat studies, etc., etc. So we have planned up a series of lectures that would go into the month of November as well as in December. In December, we are planning for conducting a kind of course to teach you skills for doing conservation studies and all such kind of things. So that's the thing that I wanted to tell you. So I'll be reaching you with through emails of sending you the details of tomorrow's meeting. Hopefully the same what do you say, meeting ID would work tomorrow. If there is any change, please check your email. So tomorrow morning we'll be meeting with the same login credentials and all those things at 11:30 sharp tomorrow morning. I'll start the meeting at 11:15. Madam is going to join us at 11:30, and she'll present, and then we'll have some discussion and then close the lecture series. Right? That's the whole idea. So if you have any doubts, anything, any clarifications that needs to be done from our side, we would be more than happy to do. If not, then maybe you can, if you have filled up your response forms, then it's great. I have just shared once again the response form. You can fill up feedback form. You can fill up feedback form, and after you have done that, you may leave the meet. Thank you very much.